Hey guys, welcome to the show. This is Dr. Rob, the addiction doctor, coming live from San Antonio, Texas today. My apologies, guys, for the 12 o'clock show. Not sure what happened. Jane was on, then she's off, then she's on, then she's off. Goodness knows what's happening. It's 18 of 3 today, and it's around 12:32, coming live at you. This is Breaking Through Addiction. We've got a great guest on the show today, guys. I hope you had a good week, by the way. Hope you had an amazing week. My week was good. Just looking forward to the weekend. I hope it's sunny and amazing. My sister from England will be coming over in 3 weeks. Going to try and get her on the show with me so you can all meet her, guys. So welcome to the show. Robbie Westerman, Dr. Robbie's on the show. Now, I was going to give you everything that he does, but I've not got enough time, and the list is too long. But let me talk about addiction for a second. Oh, my goodness. I have spoken to many doctors who are baffled with addiction. I've spoken to many psychiatrists and many psychologists. And I thought I was the only psychologist that studied addiction, period, to the extent which we've studied over the last 25 years. I've met my match today, I must admit. So this should be an interesting show with lots of questions. Same old deal, guys. Send your messages, any questions you got for Dr. Robbie. So Dr. Rob and Dr. Robbie's on the show today. That could be a new show, couldn't it? The two Robbies, or I don't know, maybe. So listen, guys, any questions, just send them in. And we'll see what we can do for you. And sit down and listen to this, guys. You're going to find this really interesting. This guy is absolutely awesome. Dr. Robbie Westerman's on the show right after this. Welcome back to the show, guys. Dr. Rob, the addiction doctor, along with Dr. Robbie Westerman. Welcome to the show. This is Breaking Through Addiction. Good afternoon, Dr. Robbie. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing today, Rob?
Living the freaking dream, man. Living the dream. Getting biceps are getting bigger, and so is my chest. What else can I say? It's an amazing day. So just quickly, give the audience and the viewers a quick 15-second rundown of what you actually do within the addiction industry.
All right. So I am I'm the director of addiction medicine at Fountain Hills Recovery Center, and I also work at Willow House for Women, which deals with intimacy and addiction through the Meadows. And I've been at the Meadows for 9 years. Do addiction medicine and treatment and anything to do with addiction or eating disorders, sex addiction, all addictions is pretty much my specialty.
So you must have been there when I went to the Meadows. I'm not too sure, but guys, as some of you know, I went to the Meadows about, I want to say about 6-7 years ago for my PTSD and trauma. I learned something there that the gateway drug isn't marijuana, it's trauma is what I learned there. And it's so true. Talk to me real quick, Dr. Robbie, about trauma, because I know it's huge. And I know a lot of people who, especially in the addiction world or depressed PTSD, kind of don't take trauma too seriously because he thinks, I've dealt with that, it's in the past. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, you know, trauma is so interesting. As human beings, you know, we're born with a couple of preset modes, right? Nurture, right? Got to nurture our kids. Reproduction and food and water, right? Those are pretty much the essential programs of anything, you know, unless you want to be an amoeba, right? Just lay around and not move. But we're all built with the drive to obtain those things, right? I noticed that a lot of trauma is caused because that third element, the nurture element, which is so important, is just not met, you know? So oftentimes we see children that are isolated, that are abused, that are, you know, just grow up in a maladaptive environment. They come out and they always feel like there's something missing, you know, because they never got that innate nurture that we are to give as parents, because a lot of stuff's changed, obviously, with, you know, both working parents a lot of the times, and kids are left to fend for themselves a lot. And obviously we look at the other trauma, abuse, and what patients describe to me the first time they use drugs or alcohol is it feels like they've got something that they've been missing their whole lives, right? And they can never identify what that was, right? They say that, you know, I didn't know what was missing. I always felt awkward. I never felt like I fit in. And, you know, that the ease and comfort of the outside chemical or outside addiction really filled that void of, I believe, the nurture void, right? And then we put very high salience on that substance because it fills that innate need as a human being, right? And then we look at it goes cyclical.
A great saying I have, I'm not sure where it comes from, might even come from the Meadows, is anything less than nurturing as a child is child abuse. And when I first got told that, I looked at that and thought, well, that's not the case. My mum and dad did the best they can. And the answer I heard was, that's not good enough, unfortunately. And I was like, what are you telling me? You can't attack my mum and dad. They did the best they can. But this is what she said to me, Robbie. She said, here's the deal. Tell me something that happened. I said I used to walk to school with my holes in my shoes and holes in my socks. Mum used to put a cardboard in the shoe so I could walk in the snow. That's what we did. So she said, does mum and dad go out to the bar every Friday, Saturday, Sunday night? And this is what she said, Dr. Brother, changed everything for me. She says, does your mum and dad go to the bar with holes in their socks? And it crushed me. I'm like, oh my God, that was child abuse. That was the nurturing part. When we say abuse, it sounds horrible, but we really have to take it to the less than nurturing. I mean, what else did I know? You know, and I remember going for an interview with the police force in England, and I was about 17 at the time, 18 maybe, and I took my shoes off, and there was holes in my socks, and I felt really embarrassed. So that sticks with us. What do we have to do to get rid of that, Dr. Robbie? What do we have to do as a process that you would do?
So the first thing we have to do, you know, and I'll go into a couple explanations, is since those neural pathways are so, you know, etched into the fiber of your being, right? It's like I explain it to patients like this. It's this subconscious part of the mind. I know you posted something about the hippocampus and the amygdala, right? We have stimulation of that part of the amygdala that tells us something is salient or not, right? So good or bad, right? So we know how to react to situations, even subconsciously, right? If we've experienced the situation before, the body doesn't, your frontal lobe doesn't always know, hey, this is bringing back repressed memories, right? So the first thing we got to do is try to identify, you know, what is bringing us to that state of activation? What is activating us? What is activating that amygdala, the hippocampus, pituitary adrenal axis, right? We get all, you know, wound up, our heart starts racing, we go into fight or flight for no reason. We don't know why, right? We need to identify that. And then we need to identify skills when those come up to I like thought stopping. Thought stopping is amazing. Identify what you're feeling and then look around, you know, get very grounded, kind of figure out what's going on. And then we try to do some psychoanalysis around it, you know. Slowly you know, the road that neural pathway, I look at it as like an access road, right? You see the freeway and then you got the little road next to it, right? That little road is always going to be there. You can always travel that road again. But, you know, the more you change your reaction to events and be more cognizant and aware, you start to build a 5-lane highway next to that access road. But I always tell clients, you know, that road's still there. It doesn't go away. It's like addiction, you know. The salience is still there, but you don't get that kind of preemptive, you know, activation out of nowhere. You know, hey, that's triggering. You know, like I already know that's going to, you know, send me over the edge. So identifying those triggers, right? That's huge. Psychoanalysis of those triggers. You know, what maybe happened, you know, in my childhood or, you know, growing up that causes me fear around that situation, event. You know, like for me, you know, I grew up kind of isolated as a kid, right? And I was terrified of people, you know, when I got into grade school. I had no idea why. I was just afraid of everybody. You know, I thought everyone was looking at me. I felt awkward. I had friends, but I felt awkward. You know, I didn't fit in. But, you know, down the road, I learned that, you know, my isolation really didn't hit that nurture need for me. And that was traumatizing, right? I didn't know what was wrong with me, you know, but I realized it was just, I didn't know how to form meaningful relationships as a child because that nurture piece was missing. And then any event when I was socializing was traumatic for me. You know, I felt ashamed for no reason. I felt embarrassed for no reason. I felt ugly. I felt unwanted. I felt unliked, even though to the contrary, everything around me said, hey man, this guy's, you know, pretty plugged in. He has friends, but you know, it was that trauma as a child, right? That I can now identify when I get nervous in social situations as to why I react the way I do, right? So that's huge.
I can't believe what you just said, because I often teach and preach that, especially when I'm offering seminars. I use this scenario, like you said, this is my self-sabotage go-to. This is the guy I'm going to drink and use and everything. And over a period of time, this happened where the 6-lane highway is here for the good nature and the kindness and the good living. But this guy's always going to be there, and it can flip back over a period of time. And that's what people don't understand. I love that. Absolutely, Dr. Robbie. Thank you for going through that, because I've never heard anybody repeat that, but that's so true. The nurturing side and the self-sabotage, because I'm born this way. I can trace alcoholism back through my family, the predisposition side talks about it. Talk to me about the PTSD that comes to you, because I take it it's not just addiction, but PTSD from our childhood, from, any wars that we've been in. What's the situation there? Is the patient any different? Do we attend to them any different?
So, PTSD it's very interesting, because first of all, it's misdiagnosed a lot. Honestly, I don't like our DSM here. I think it's a piece of billing material here. So I think that with PTSD, the first thing we need to do is figure out what we're working with. A good evaluation is always important, right? A good evaluation. But with PTSD, a lot of things that happen is they become detached from the trauma that happened, right? So they're unable to really put together the pieces of what happened, and they're constantly in that state of ready for the shoe to drop, or constantly on heightened alert, which it turns off your frontal lobe, because when we're in that activated state in PTSD, we're actually shunting blood from our frontal lobe, because the body says, hey, we don't need blood there, right? It's not that important. We need to run, right? That's what we're designed for. Yeah. So what happens is, that's why they get sweaty hands and feet and the heart starts racing. It's a mechanism to run, right? So patients often tell me, hey, I make bad decisions when, my trauma comes up or my PTSD. And, that's a reason why, the blood is shunted away from your body, right? Your body gets activated. So learning how to manage the activation. I like heart rate variability monitoring. That's great. It's very useful to learn how to monitor your heart rate. I use that. I use Alpha Stim CES. And now, what's really interesting is we had Dr. Bessel van der Kolk there, and we're actually using, we're in phase 3 trials of MDMA treatment for, this is not for everyone. We had a patient that came back from Iraq, and what happened was he was in war zone. People were, dying, and he was in combat. The doctors gave him the MDMA and the experiment, and he was laying there and he was explaining what he was going through with the therapist. And he said, I climbed down into my body. I was walking a trail, and I found a tiger just screaming down there, let me out, let me out. And he walked up to the cage and he opened the cage up down in his body, and him and the tiger hugged, and he said, hey man, like we're together, like embrace me, love me, and it was powerful. It was powerful. So just interesting stuff.
That's so freeing, to watch somebody go through that. I often tell my patients the prefrontal cortex has one job, guys, and it's to come up with a solution to your problem as quick as it can. The bad news is it doesn't have to be the correct reaction or solution. It's crazy. Guys, Dr. Robbie Westman's on the show. A quick word from our guys at Take 12 Radio. Hey guys, Dr. Rob, the addiction doctor, along with Dr. Robbie Westman. Listen, I want to talk about your journey, Dr. Robbie. Explain what you went through. Where did it start? Because I know you look at you now and like you are the man when it comes to addiction. And I bow down to what you've accomplished and what you are within this industry. You're probably one of the very few people that I would take advice on, because I'm stubborn, but secondly, actually look up to and listen to, because you're just amazing. But tell me when it all started for you.
All right. So I gave you a little bit of my backstory, the trauma, the isolation, So that feeling of not being wanted and not being a part of, always feeling apart from, like I was always like, it was like everyone else was given a handbook to life, right? But they forgot to give me my copy, you know, on the way out, right? Everyone got there. Here's how to be involved. Here's how to talk to people. You know, I didn't get that, you know, but when I was 15 years old, I drank alcohol for the first time in the middle of the street and there was a little group party going on. Man, I felt like I got something that I was missing, man. There was my handbook, you know? Like I finally felt like, you know, all that stuff that I felt, all the not being good enough, the not being the shame for no reason, you know, I couldn't identify it. Man, I loved the feeling, you know? It was something that was so freeing for me. And then, you know, it slowly progressed. You know, I went to my first treatment center when I was 17. I moved on to opioids, which are, you know, that's my passion today is studying those. And was using IV heroin from the ages of 17 to 23, in and out of rehab. I lost my daughter, you know, it was horrible. Her mom had left me with my daughter when she was 2 months old. So I had to take care of her. I was still, you know, using and active in my disease. And CPS got involved and my daughter got, you know, she got taken, put into foster care. My rights ended up getting severed, which breaks my heart. But I mean, and I tell people that, you know, you know, nothing is, you can recover from anything, you know. I should be legally allowed to use drugs, you know, I see in the court of law, right? So what I've been through and, you know, experienced homelessness, lost, you know, I didn't have a driver's license. I was writing fake prescriptions, all sorts of stuff, you know. And when I got into recovery, the scariest thing for me was always looking at all the wreckage of my past and all the time I had wasted and thought, man, you know, why even try? You know, there's so much stuff they got to get through. You know, I don't even got a driver's license. I got nowhere to live. I got, you know, it was like, why not use, you know? I got scholarshiped into a place in Scottsdale, and that was in 2013, actually 2012. And I'm so blessed to, you know, get scholarship there. And you know, this time what I did is I did everything they asked me to do, right? And I always tell clients this, okay? So rehab's like a vending machine, okay? If sodas are $1 and you put 99 cents in there, you get no soda, you know. And that's what I was doing. You know, I'd put in, you know, skip a third step, you know, like, and I wouldn't get a soda out, right? I wouldn't follow the directions on the cake. I'd get a bad looking cake, right? Never looked like the box. I would always be like, man, they got it going on. Their sobriety looks great. Look at Rob Kelly's sobriety, man. I mean, look at that. You know, but what it was is, you know, I wouldn't follow the directions, you know, and the directions are in Chinese and it's from IKEA store. And, you know, I always put it together and have to take the damn thing apart again because I forgot one piece, right? And you need someone to help you read those directions, right, from the bottom, right? Or you're always going to get done and it's going to look okay, but it's going to be shaky. So when I finally surrendered, you know, and I put my whole dollar into that proverbial vending machine, I did everything they asked me to do. You know, I went to the 90 and 90. I did trauma therapy. I did everything they asked me to do, and it worked. You know, and I tell patients, I'm like, challenge me. You know, like put your whole dollar in there, and you know, come tell me it didn't work. You know, but you can't be skipping groups, you know, doing this treatment and then say it's not working, Dr. Robbie. You know, I get that a lot. So
it's crazy what we go through, and now that becomes our greatest asset going forward. I must admit, of all the studying I've done, I'm a double PhD. I've been to school, I don't know, 20 odd years. I've been going to universities and colleges and schools. And I got to tell you, Dr. Robbie, the first 164 of that book is pretty good. He talks about psychic change back in 1938 when they're writing it. And they talk about neuroplasticity back 10 years ago when the medical fraternity went, oh my goodness, you'll never guess what we know right now. I remember doing a conference with someone. I'm stood there with a big book saying, this guy's got it right back in the day, guys. You know, this is what it's all about. So tell me, somebody comes to you now, they're suffering from addiction. They can't stop. They've lost the kids. What sort of hope do you give them from the first session?
The first session, want them to know that they're redeemable. They are not irredeemable. As long as there's breath in their lungs and willingness in their heart, there's hope for recovery. I see, and I try to use the drinking and using and the loss as kind of, I reframe it into an asset. I feel I'm lucky because I'm an addict, because I had two choices. I could either get better and live a life beyond my wildest dreams or die. Right. A lot of people mope around with depression their whole lives. And I feel awful. They mope around with anxiety their whole lives. And I'm glad that, that God's like, hey, here's your options: die or, get super well. So I try to reframe, that's the hope I try to give them.
That's amazing. I know that we've come to the end of the time, Robbie, and I've got to tell you now that we have to have you back. I'm going to get Courtney to reach out again. We've got to have you on for the full hour, I think, from 12 till 1 CST time, and we'll run with that. But before you go, I want to know a couple of things. First of all, what are you telling the parents when they first come to you, Dr. Robbie? What are you telling them? Because they're lost, they're confused, they don't know what to do.
So what I tell the parents oftentimes is, they need treatment too, because it's a family disease, and the parent becomes just as enmeshed sometimes as the patient. The addiction, the caretaking of the parents. Sometimes, Rob, the parents are more difficult than the patients. So I try to tell them, that we have lots of experience, and I refer them to get treatment themselves, and I really ask them to set firm boundaries at first, right? And just let us take the burden off their back for a little bit and give us an opportunity to engage them fully, right? And I try to make sure the parents know, disengage a little bit for now, work on yourself.
We started something about 7 years ago where we did some research on the family getting involved, and the success rate of the alcoholic getting well went up by 40%. So when we brag about 97% success rate, we do because we assess people. And if the family, anybody living inside the house where the alcoholic is, the wife and children over the age of 18, if they don't come aboard with their telehealth deal with us, which is only twice a week, we will not take the patient on. Because it's like picking someone out of a house that speaks Japanese and coming to us, and we speak a new language, is recovery, German, and then we stick them back out into a house Japanese. They're going to start speaking Japanese again. That's what we found out. Where can people get hold of you, Dr. Robbie?
So a couple places: nextsteprecoveryaz.com. And then you can always Google my name, and I'm on Psychology Today, and I'm the TikTok addiction doc, so I do lectures on there. So those are some ways to get a hold of me. I really enjoy doing teaching. Usually I do it free of charge. I just want to, spread the message however I can and through whatever outlet I can,
That's amazing, man. Thank you so much for being on the show. I want to just recognize you before you go for who you are, because I know in our industry sometimes there's not a lot of people come in and go, there you go, great job, Dr. Robbie, because they think we already know, first of all. We think we already know how great we are. But I want to thank you personally I want to thank you for getting well, first of all, because without you being here today, the addiction industry would be well worse off than it is today. But thank you for your tenacity. Thank you for you. You can just tell when I speak to you that you're in this for the heart, the right reason. Somebody said to me once, he said, Rob, you don't do hard work, you do heart work. And I like that. And I just love what you do. I love what you're about. And thank you, man, for being you, because with the ripple effect, man, you've saved hundreds of thousands of lives and will continue to do so. So thank you so much, man. You're absolutely awesome.
Thanks, Rob.
Okay, guys, the website's on the bottom if you want to get hold of Dr. Robbie. He's such a great guy. I'll be back in a second to close the show. But Dr. Robbie, thank you so much indeed, and we'll see you next time. Welcome to the back end of the show. Dr. Robbie Westman was on the show, guys. That was awesome. Got loads of messages there, loads of hits on the live, especially on YouTube. Thank you so much. You've seen the website, you know who he is, Dr. Robbie Westerman. Look him up, guys. Such an amazing guy. We've got a new guest next week, guys, but don't forget, I show this book for one reason. Daddy, please stop drinking was the last thing my daughter said to me before the authorities took them off me. And every dime or cent that goes into this book on Amazon to buy goes straight out to communities around England and the US of A. You hear all the time, the profits from the book, that's bullshit. This is the book. Every dime, cent, and everything goes back out to other people. We don't get nothing of this book. And if you buy the book on Amazon and you don't like it, send me a message. I'll refund your money and you can pass it on to somebody else that would really enjoy it. Great show. Apologies, guys, for all the messing around that we had to go through first. And Jamie and Kim, I'm going to have her back on the show. Just sound and problems that we sometimes get on the show, but it's all good, guys. Have a fantastic week. And remember, hurt people hurt people.